I almost missed the fraud because my dog refuses to sleep unless I check the locks twice. It started as a quirk. When Biscuit was a puppy, she'd pace the bedroom doorway and whine until I physically got up, walked to the front door, tested the deadbolt, then the back door, then came back to bed. If I faked it, just stood up and sat back down, she knew. She'd keep pacing. So for 4 years, every single night, I did a full lock check before sleep. My husband thought it was endearing. I thought it was slightly embarrassing. I'm a freelance bookkeeper. I work with small businesses, mostly solo operators who don't have accounting staff. I handle payroll, invoicing, reconciliation. It requires trust, and I take that seriously. 18 months ago, I took on a new client. Marcus ran a small landscaping company, referred through a mutual contact. Friendly, punctual, paid my invoices without argument. After 6 months, he asked if I'd be willing to also manage vendor payments, actually logging into his accounts and cutting checks to suppliers. More responsibility, more pay. I said yes. Things felt slightly off almost immediately, but nothing I could name. Invoices from vendors I didn't recognize. Amounts that seemed high for the volume of work he described. When I asked Marcus about one supplier, a company called Greenfield Materials, he had a smooth answer ready. Regional supplier, newer relationship. They require larger minimums. I noted it. Moved on. Here's where Biscuit comes in. One night I was finishing up his books late. Laptop open in bed, and Biscuit started her routine. I got up, did the lock check, came back, and when I sat down, I accidentally knocked my laptop and the screen refreshed. The vendor list reloaded, and something caught my eye that I'd scrolled past 100 times. Greenfield Materials, the mailing address. I stared at it. I knew that address. It took me a few seconds to place it, and then it landed. That was the address of a UPS store 2 miles from my house. I drove past it on the way to my grocery store. I didn't sleep. I spent 3 hours cross-referencing every vendor Marcus had added in the past year. 4 of them shared characteristics. Vague company names, PO boxes, or mail center addresses. No web presence, all added within weeks of me getting payment access. In 12 months, just over $34,000 had moved to those 4 vendors. I called my attorney the next morning instead of Marcus. The short version, Marcus had done this before. A previous bookkeeper had flagged irregularities, and he'd dropped her before she could escalate. With me, he'd been more patient, spent 6 months building rapport before giving me payment access, then moved money slowly enough that no single transaction triggered an obvious alarm. What he didn't account for was that I do a lock check every night. I turned everything over to my attorney, who contacted his bank's fraud department and, eventually, law enforcement. I also called the mutual contact who'd referred him, a woman named Diane who ran a small catering business. She went pale on the phone. She'd also given Marcus payment access. She hadn't noticed yet. We got her out before more damage was done. Marcus was charged. There were other victims, 3 other freelancers across 2 counties, all women running solo practices, all brought in through referrals that traced back to him. The referrals were part of it. Warm introductions built instant trust. I lost 4 months of work dealing with the aftermath. I had to notify clients, retain a lawyer, cooperate with investigators. My professional reputation took long enough to rebuild that I still feel the bruise of it sometimes. But here's what I think about. If I hadn't gotten up to check those locks, the screen wouldn't have refreshed. I would have closed the laptop and gone to sleep and probably processed another invoice to Greenfield Materials in the morning. I've tightened everything since. New client contracts require a 3-month read-only period before I touch any payments. Vendor additions require documentation I verify independently. I use a separate device for client logins, and every night I still get up and check the locks. Biscuit trots behind me, satisfied, and we come back to bed. She's not protecting me from intruders. She never was. I think she just always knew I needed to pay closer attention to my surroundings than I thought.